Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I rank the best insert designs of 1994 across all four sports. Now, there is a bit of a difference between the cards that I really like and the cards that you guys like, because you guys tend to really love shiny cards that are just incredible spectral effects, like the Emotion Intense cards, and I'm 100% with you on it. I really do love this card. Every time I look at it, the colors that come through on the gold refraction or the gold holofoil is so amazing. And it really does stun me for a second, but then I find there's not much else to the card. Specifically, the slash marks that they have around the edge with there's almost a dirty like look to the etched foil around the perimeter of the card. That starts to get to me, and I feel like the card is unadorned, like there's something that's missing on the card, and I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure that the problem is that just that whole slash mark effect that they have for the design for the background is something that doesn't really read well to me. I think that's the thing that really bothers me. So this is a card that grabs my attention, I get excited about it, and then I'm over it pretty quickly. So it's I wish that I could be more excited about it, but the problem is there are other cards that hold my attention for longer, and that's the difference. So I really do love this card. I just wish that I loved it enough to put it higher on the list. But that's not the case. So, here it is. And then with the classic NFL Experience limited print cards, this is a card that actually does kind of the opposite, where the card still grabs my attention, but it does so not because of how over the top it is, but how reserved it is. The colors are really rich. The image is strong, works well with the border. It has a little bit of gold foil in the card. This is a very well crafted card. And so every time I run into it, I just go, whoa, what is that? That's impressive. That's the thing that gets me. Every time I look at the cards, that's what pulls me in, and it holds my attention for longer. I really like the card, but then I start to feel like the card is incomplete. And a big part of that is how it's all on two sides, and then the other two sides are unadorned, which is kind of a quirk to the card that only kind of holds it back. Not completely. I mean, it still looks great. Now, the shield down at the bottom is a strong element to the card, but it also, as I spend time with it, I get bored with it pretty quickly. I feel that it's a little bit too much. So there's a lot going on with this card, but it is a card, again, that grabs me, pulls me in, and holds me for a little bit, for a while, and I really admire the card. Still, I don't have much longer that I can hang with it. Now, also in football is the ultra release of flair cards, specifically the scoring power cards and hot number cards. These cards, well, these do a combination of what both of the previous cards do. They are so bright with colors, which is gorgeous. Now, scoring powers, this is a card where the Emmitt Smith card is unusually good. This one is individually a spectacular card. The other cards in the set are still really strong. They're still really good. I like them. But I think the hot numbers cards are more consistent. But these cards are all about the bright colors that are just so impressive on the cards, and I love that quality to them. Now, the saturation is a big part of it. It's overdone, but that's a big positive. Every once in a while, you need a card that's like this, that's just a total Mardi Gras fest, and I get captured by it, and it hangs on to my attention, which is really wonderful. Now, I have two other honorable mentions that I wanted to mention. They're both baseball. The first one is the Leaf Gold Stars cards. And in this case, this is a card that absolutely should be a top 5. The reason I do not have it as a top 5 is because it feels like it's missing something. Specifically, I do know what it's missing, but even without that, it's a card that is, whenever I look at the card, I love the rich marble, and I love all the gold detailing that's in it. And then the holofoil is really cool, but the holofoil is a lot. All the way around the perimeter of the card, it's unadorned. And because of that, it feels like there's something missing, like that area needs to have something as well. It could be just a thin inner line would have done just fine, or an outer border, just a thin line on the outer border would also have been really good and allow the the holofoil to not feel completely unobstructed. I feel that there should be something up there to make it a little bit different. And that's why I hold it outside of the top 5. I also have the Score Dream Team cards from baseball here, which is the last great Dream Team cards. And what a note to go out on. Now, the thing about these cards that is so wonderful is that it plays an amazing trick, which is that these cards, they look old, they look classic. Every time I look at the card, I go, ooh, is that Mickey Mantle? Is it maybe Yaz or Ted Williams? Oh, it's Matt Williams. Oh, it's a modern player. And that's something that is amazing to me. Now, Don Russ, with their studio set, they were doing their heritage cards where they were getting pictures of old players or pictures of new players in old uniforms. Well, how is that not what we're looking at here? But in the case here, these are cards that actually do look like old cards that just happen to be printed on a modern cardstock. I mean, the dark green and the gold foil detailing has a very old feel to it, which is actually kind of in step with what they'd done in 1992 with their complete set insert cards. But it's the picture. The picture is so impressive, mainly because of the lighting. How they were able to capture this and to get that classic feel to it is what just really gets me with this card. This is the one card of all the honorable mentions that absolutely holds my attention. I could put this on display and always treasure it. I'm close on the other two with the Flair cards and with the Gold Stars cards, but the Dream Team cards, this is the one that I feel really hits the height, which is saying a lot when you consider that it's not even a top 5 card. It's close, really close, because in the top 5, I started off at number 5 with the Fleer Football Rookie Sensations cards, and these just barely edge out the Dream Team cards. For these cards, what I love about it is every single time I look at the card, I go, whoa, Fleer? How did Fleer do that? I mean, this isn't the kind of thing Fleer should be doing. This is the kind of thing Ultra should be doing. And with Ultra, you'll notice there's nothing on the list for Ultra. Well, okay, that's not entirely fair because the Flair football cards were Ultra releases. In fact, that's the thing that made them work so well. In 1994, Ultra was using a lot of really bright colors, especially in football. And they combined that with what they were doing for inserts in Flair in baseball and hockey and basketball. They combined them together to make these overly dominant cards that are just way too bold and way too strong, which worked well for the Ultra cards. But the Ultra cards were a little bit too much in terms of just bold and powerful. Whereas Fleer actually was doing some subtlety where the Rookie Sensation cards, you can see that here they do actually have more of the whole card has more intricacy to it. Not a fine detail work, it's very simplistic. They have a particular type of background and then the text with the gold foil on it is just kind of stuck on there, but in a way that seamlessly works with it. The image of the player fits with everything, it has a great spirit to it. Again, I look at this and I go, how in the world did Fleer make this? Certainly in 1994. If it was in 95 or 96, I could feel, okay, maybe they're doing this. But this is like Fleer really pushing ahead of everybody else, which is not, it's not territory that Fleer was commonly in. So this is a card that always gets me where I just go, how in the world did they make a card this good? And maybe I have a bit of a bias over the Score Dream Team cards in that regard, but for me, for some reason, every time I look at these cards, these are cards that really capture me a lot better than any others. I would like the colors to be a little bit better, but that's a minor gripe. Now, for number 4, I go over to basketball for the Skybox Revolution cards, and now we're getting into a card that is actually truly intricate throughout. In the case here, we have some brushed foil or some brushed metal, and we have some etched foil on it as well. We have both going on, and down at the bottom it's very subtle. In fact, in the shot, I had a tough time capturing the image down at the bottom of this card. But the elegance to it is really cool. It's very impressive. Skybox was, again, this is a card where you're going 1994, maybe 95, probably in 96, the detail work in the brushed metal. Then I could understand them getting to this level of intricacy. But for 1994, this is hitting well above your weight. And I am amazed with this card because I never even knew this card existed until I was working on these best of inserts or the ranking the insert cards. And that's when I tracked it down and was disappointed that I never sought this card out before, never noticed it, because it is such an impressive card. But it's impressive in terms of a wow factor. It's not a consistent card. That's the one problem. Whereas when I moved to number 3, also in basketball, the Fleer Team Leaders cards, this doesn't have the same kind of spectral intrigue, but the card itself is a complete, well-crafted creation. Again, how is Fleer making the best cards of all the cards in the Fleer suite? I don't know, but I'm glad that they're doing it. I mean, this is a card that, first off, has a similar background to the Rookie Sensations cards that we just looked at. And that background is a really good background to use. The mood of the team color is really strong, although it's ironic they have one team color for 3 different teams. But what makes these cards work so well is that the set is designed around 9 cards that show off the best player on each of the 27 teams, which means every single card has 3 players on it. 3 players from different teams, and none of those players should be considered any less than any others. I mean, okay, Akeem Olajuwon, Reggie Miller, and Loy Vaught, there's definitely one player who's not at the same tier as the other 2, but the card does a great job of showcasing all 3. They feel roomy, they don't feel crowded together. When you look at the card, you understand what everything is. It comes across well, but every single player seems prominent, strong. They almost all feel like the center of attention. You don't really feel, well, you almost feel like Reggie Miller's the point of the card, but not quite. They pulled all of that off well. And it's the fact that it's such a relaxed card with a really gorgeous background behind, and then you have the gold foil text. That combination, for me, every time I look at it, I just go, wow. How did Fleer do this? That's the thing. I keep looking at it going, how in the world did Fleer do this? This and Rookie Sensations came from the exact same design mentality, and they're both rousing successes. But as great as elegant cards look, there's always got to be room for fun. And as much as I would love to put the intense cards, the emotion intense cards I started out with, here on the list because they are fun, the Topps Division Finest cards in hockey, this absolutely deserves to be here. This is where Topps took acetate and really mastered it. Now, they have 2 things going on. They have the acetate, and then they have the oil on water effect, which unfortunately doesn't really come through in these images. I apologize about that. But Topps did this twice. Over in Stadium Club in basketball, they did their Clear Cuts cards, and those cards are, well, they're not successes. Basically, they came up with a design, and they had a technology, and they put the 2 together, and they should not have gone together. Here, with these Division Finest cards, this is the exact opposite. This is somebody who sat down and said, okay, I want to use this to its fullest, and they did. The way this card came across was just phenomenal because this is not the best card design here, and I don't mean that for it being at number 2. I mean there are other cards on this in this list that are designed better, that look better, but this is the card that really gets me pulled in and has me exploring the card. This is more like a toy. This is fun. And I explore everything about the card, and then I keep hunting for if there's anything else, which there's not. But that's part of the beauty of it, is there's so much about this card that is just fun and it looks great at the same time. I absolutely love that. But there is one card that I think is hands down the best of 1994 for inserts, and I'm surprised to say it's also hockey. Leaf Gold Stars, the good version. Here you can see that they do have intricacy around the border, which breaks up the gold holofoil and makes this card a full intricate affair. Now, do I have any notes for it? Well, yes, I have one. It's that effect in all of the holofoil, it's a little bit stagnant. I'd like for it to be a little bit more sparkly, but still, whenever I look at this card, there's so much going on the card that it takes all the complexity of the marble and it continues it out so that there's almost too much hitting you all at the same time. as if that wasn't enough, the back of the card is another front. So you get twice as much. And this card just comes through so much better than everything else, because it is, guess what? A bright, shiny object, just like Intense. But it has all of the formal elegance and design acumen of the Fleer cards. And it has this great intricacy to it. And it does all of that. It just looks gorgeous. I love this card. So to me, that is definitely the best insert design of 1994. If you disagree with me on the order of these, definitely let me know down on the list down at the bottom. If there's anything you feel should have been on the list, definitely let me know. I'm curious to hear if like Team Pinnacle should have been on or something like that. Interested to hear your take on all of this. I think that these cards really did come through really well, so we'll see how it all goes. But I do want to thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And yeah, guess that's it. Thanks.